which is the pump. Already, I think Newberg said if we didn't have this conflict, prices would be at $55 a barrel. We're already, I think, at 77 and climbing. And then that doesn't even get into the natural gas problem. Qatar is shutting it down. I mean, the biggest impact on the natural gas will be Europe, but ultimately that radiates out. So typically you get a price hike, but sometimes what happens with the price hike is it doesn't necessarily translate to lots of inflation at well at the pump. It translates into deep recession because industries can't afford to be able to sell their goods at that high cost of energy. That's why we've kind of seen in Germany. The deindustrialization of Germany is their response hasn't always been price hikes. It's been, we can't afford to build. We can't afford to make.
Yes.
And I think that's as co-equal a risk. With an economy that's already fragile, from a working class perspective, we're in a recession. The AI equity boom has kept the GDP. Some estimates say almost all the gain in GDP has been AI. Some say half, some say a third. However it is, they've been able to keep that up, but it hasn't translated to ordinary voters. Ordinary voters are as negative about the economy as they've been since the global financial crisis of 2008, 2009 in terms of working class people, what they can afford. And Trump made such a big deal about, hey, gas prices are under $2, everybody. This is how amazing I am. It's already starting to spike in the United States. If it keeps spiking, it's something everybody sees because they see it every time they go to the gas pump because we're very much a car-driven country, more so probably than Europe and some other places, which is a whole other conspiracy theory for another day. You can watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit for a little bit of that. But if you did, so I think it either triggers recession or it triggers price spikes that they can't ignore. And by the way, you can expect tons of fake stories about how Iran's about to fold, Iran's about to capitulate, Iran begging for a ceasefire. They did that today to try to keep the markets calm. It's the reason why Trump loves to do weekend wars. He loves to do weekend wars because he thinks, well, we'll have it all wrapped up before the markets open on Monday. And the markets have been up and down around the world, but they usually get a boost because Trump will leak. Oh, Iran's about to cut a deal. Iran's about to see. They'll do this as often.
This war. It's very dangerous. Dangerous. Somebody told me today they can get their news on CNN. They don't need to hear it from me. It's like, great. So, all right, it's 2:32. Let's get this party started. Good afternoon to everybody. Railtown is still, somehow they manage every day to get it in the red. It's down half a penny at 33.44. Finger is up just under a penny at 123.77. Help is down 0.025. HLP, that is, at $1.025, $1.02.50. GDC's up 26.5 at 376. Got to be a bargain. They put out a press release worth $22 a share. Nixie is, don't take me seriously on that. Nixie is up a penny at 53.72. The markets are up. The Dow's up 250. NASDAQ up 350. And S&P up 63, it looks like. Railtown's volume, it's 3301 by 34.2. The volume is a blistering 7,960 shares today. Remember the Platinum Blonde said, but wait, I thought if you sold it, you could buy it back. It's a market. And Tony the Terrible said, yeah, right. Well, look at that. It's one day. There's 8,000 shares traded. How much do you think you can buy today? That poor soul, 52,500. You got to give him credit for trying. He's always in there at the ask, never ready to pull the trigger on the bid, always at the ask, 34.2. Can't get his stock sold. All right. What do we talk about? Um, I continue to believe. Well, first, our position in Railtown is going up. We're at 18,082,809. It's ever so slowly. I guess the first 18 million was the easiest, but it's going up a little bit. That's great. You guys are in a great position. I believe you guys are going to be very happy with this soon. I think you're going to be amazed. And you're going to say to me, we don't need you anymore. We've got Tony and Dan and Frank and others telling us what to do with our money. They tell us that it was their idea. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. But here's the thing. We're in March, and we've only got 2 more days of this week. So you might be surprised, but I'm predicting nothing happens this week. But next week seems like a prime opportunity, maybe, to get going. Or I was talking with someone who had a good thought. Maybe. I mean, it's speculation on my part. I haven't spoken with anybody at the company. But maybe, just maybe, let's say you have the Nvidia conference starting on Monday the 16th. And I think that's when the keynote address comes from Jensen Huang. Maybe, just maybe, he says, we want to talk about our new line of product, the Sovereign AI Data Factory. And we want to put on example the only Sovereign AI Data Factory in use right now and ready to go in Canada. TELUS. And then they invite TELUS up on board and say, tell us about TELUS. And that could happen. So maybe it'll be in the keynote speech. I don't know. But the first quarter is almost over. And one would presume they got to get the party started. And why wait for April? So anyway, my gut feeling is that not this week. That's easy to do. But I'd say either next week or Monday the 16th, maybe by Tuesday the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. I think that's about it for our opportunity to be buying these shares. You've heard me say it before. I'm almost embarrassed to say it again. But I think these prices aren't really going to be available again. Now, I'm not saying it's going to skyrocket like one of these short squeeze type things, but I think you're going to get a steady on movement upward. And anyway, that's probably about over the next, just trying to add it up, but it's about 7 trading days, if I'm right. I think you got 7 trading days left, or fewer than the 7, to add to your positions. Buy. We'll see. Yeah, I know. I was wrong all last year. I know. But we'll see. 3302 by 3415. Volume 7,960. Last trade, 100 shares at 1130. well, 1128 at 33.44, 100 shares. But wait, I thought if you could buy the stock and you sell it, you'll be able to buy it back again. But wait, not only am I blonde, I'm platinum blonde. I don't know what color Tony's hair is. All right, so let's see what's happening quickly in the war front. Oh, Caitlin Collins. Caitlin Collins wishes she were pretty. I think he should fire Christy Nome. Yeah, it looks like we're okay right now in the war front. All right, let me see what you're saying, and then I do have, for me, an interesting topic to go over with you. First, I'll go over something that Ward sent me, and then at about, I can't probably go later than 5 o'clock. Well, no, I can't go later than, I don't know, maybe I probably can't go much later than 4:15. So let's see what we can get through. Jason Harbison, happy hump day. Yes, sir. That's what today is, but I don't have anyone. Very low volume. Yeah, it's really low. Julius, Railtown will be life-changing. Well, that's leftover language from from all these squeeze plays. So I try to stay away from it because I don't want people thinking this is hot money. This is in the same bucket as GTII is going to 1,000 or whatever. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. But the fact is, you're right. I think if someone came to you, well, not you guys, because you guys have heard these kind of stories, I guess, for 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years. But if you walked into my old office and you met with a wealth advisor and you told her, I want to buy 100,000 shares of this 35-cent stock, I think it's going to go to $15 or $20. She would just say, sir, that's unlikely. That's a penny stock. We don't follow it, and we. Why don't you look at it? What is it? AI? Why don't you look at the Morgan Stanley AI Growth Plus Trust Fund ETF? And we just came out with it. It's trading at $16 a share, and we think that's what would happen. And she's not wrong. Look, if you had followed her advice, what pain you would have avoided on all these other stocks. She's not wrong. But on the other hand, she's not going to create wealth for you um, I mean, she could, I guess, but not really in the short run. She's more about, let's put it away in a ETF or a fund or with an advisor. It's partly how she gets paid. She gets a trail, but it's just safer. It's not going to blow up. And over time, dividends, reinvesting, compounding, give it 5, 10, 15 years, you'll be rich. And hey, just in time for your wife to divorce you, leave you with the the used Hyundai, and take your house, take the accounts, and take the kids, and take the cute dog. And there's a lot to be said for investing for the long run and not touching it. You do get older. Time does go by, and you can't get that compounding back. But at the same time, the way the funds that she recommends that you invest in, and the private equity people, and the highly competitive world of chasing returns, the way they get it is they find companies like Lang Chain, like Cohere, like I don't know if they had an opportunity to get into GitHub or Confluent. I don't know. All these AI companies, I don't know off the top of my head if they were ever public before they were bought out, or if it was, there's so many names. But here in this case, we have an opportunity to chase private equity type returns in a public company. And so your wealth advisor is going to look at you like you have 3 heads if you bring it up. And like I say, she's not wrong. She's not wrong to try to protect your wealth. And I'll probably start talking a lot more like she does once Railtown is up. But my point of going through all that, if you go into her and you say 35 cents is going to go to $20, she's going to look at you like you've lost your mind. And then on top of it, you say, I think it's going to be $5 in the second quarter. She's going to say, I don't know if I can help you. Maybe you need to go see a psychiatrist. So that's a long way of getting to the point that if Railtown is going to prove its concept on the data center and at Uniserve, if Railtown is going to see a ramping of its revenue in such a way that analysts can predict it, and it's repeatable, and it's sticky, and it's rapid, and I've already given you what I think. I would love the buyout of the company to be, a $50 number. And I only see that happening if there's a severe bidding war. So I just feel like it's more like it's going to have a plus or minus around $15. Hopefully it'll be plus, let's say, plus 750, and maybe minus, maybe minus 752. That's a wide range, but it's just so early and we don't have the details. And then most of that growth will then happen inside of a new of a new company. But it is possible that a bidding war could happen and the urgency to buy could be there and we could get much higher prices. We just don't know right now. But your wealth advisor is she's gonna tell you you're crazy. Why don't you just buy this, this hedge, this fund? But what I agree with you, Julius, is I think this Railtown is going to give you wealth so a wealth advisor can manage it. And I'll try to help you manage it. That's what I used to do on Wall Street. I can still do it, but there's plenty out there. I think Railtown's going to create wealth that your Morgan Stanleys can manage for you. And the way you make that wealth, you concentrate your position, you know it cold, you know the story, you recognize that a stock's mispriced, and you act. I think in the case of Railtown, it's been a slow moving train, so much so that information's out there in front of your nose for a long time, almost to the point for me that it's boring talking about it. But you have information. You can act on it. You know the story. Doesn't guarantee that it's going to work, of course, but I think it will. I think we're past the point of pain, and we're going to get into the more pleasurable experience here shortly. So I agree with you. It'll be life-changing. And one of the key things I want people to resist is as soon as let's say you bought Railtown and you have losses in AME and GMC and ZJP and XTL and whatever the hell all the ones are, VOCL, and you have all this, you add it all up, and when Railtown gets to break even, you say, woof, I'm getting out. I just hope you don't look at Railtown as one of these other stocks. I think Railtown is mispriced. I've told you why. I think there's a dearth of buying, and there's practical reasons for that. One is material non-public information. Two is the bloody things under $1, under $5 for that matter. And I guess those are the two reasons. But three is just been the long delays in changing the restriction on buying and in getting that price closer to breaking the Merrill Lynch rule. So anyway, I think we're about to see that. I think you're about to see what happens. Will it be quick? I don't know. What depends on your definition of quick. I think it'll be, compared to what we just experienced, it'll be bloody quick. But I don't know if it'll be a day or two. It might be a week or two. Might be a month or two. But I do want you to avoid selling when your account goes green. Because, of course, we got to follow it, but you're going to regret it. Just like that gentleman that put the stop loss order in on 50,000 shares to protect his account at 25 cents. Well, they went down and took those shares from him. What did he protect himself from? Doesn't look too expensive right now. He probably paid 35 cents. He took a third loss. It's back to 35 cents. He's not going to want to re-up. He's just not going to want to do it. It's stung. And I'm not making fun of it. That's just human nature. So that's a tragedy, I think. But if you get out at, I don't know, let's say you have enough Railtown that if it goes to $4, you're going to make up for all your losses in MMTLP AME and GTII and the whole laundry list. Well, if it gets to 4 and you sell and you go, phew, you say thanks to William, which don't give me thanks. Give yourself thanks. It's amazing what many of you have done. It's amazing. It's a lot of stock. It's a lot of stock. But if you do that, it's going to be similar to the story of the selling the stock at 25 cents. If you sell at 4 and, it pulls back to 350, you're going to say, yeah, that's good. I feel great. And you're going to be happy for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, something's going to happen. And why is this making so much noise? Pain in the ass. Pre-order the new iPhone 17e. Okay. Let's say you get out of 4, pulls back to 350, hangs around there at 325 for 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, for some inexplicable reason, momentum picks up. It drives above $5. And then you're thinking, well, I guess I shouldn't have sold, but it's okay. It's only up $1. I'm not going to buy in. I feel good. I'll go listen to Frank Benedetto's latest idea. And they'll be coming, boy. They're going to know there's a lot of money to pluck off these bones. I haven't gone into their channels to of course, he doesn't really have any investors other than hams. But I haven't gone into their channels to pick investors, but they'll come in here. They don't have any compunction. So if it goes to 5, you may or may not get out. Get back in, sorry. But then what's going to make you sick is that all of a sudden it goes to 758 and you're going to be depressed. So I just want you to avoid selling. What I think's coming for Railtown is one of 3 scenarios. One, there's a 4th, but I think we already dodged the 4th. The 4th is it all turns to crap. And they've been testing that theory. They've been punishing us on that risk. And we got through it. Number one, the company doesn't need any money. The company raised money with the Steely Dan guys, Donald Fagen and the other fella, and they don't need any money. In fact, they're in a whole new league now that these guys invested. There's no toxic financing out there. Yes, the revenues are de minimis, but we're about to see the revenues, in my judgment anyway, kick in and kick ass. Kick in and kick ass and be predictable. And I don't think I don't think this, what do you call it, heaviness, this short selling campaign, I don't think they're going to be able to sustain it. It'll be there as long as the stock's under $5. They'll be there for the air pockets. But anyway, that disaster scenario where they cause the market to create endless amount of shares, or there's a financing with endless amount of shares, I think that one's gone. We've passed that one. We've left that disaster scenario in the rear view mirror. So I think there's three scenarios. One, the company does really well on this Uniserve / TELUS proof of concept, uh, revenue generation, and somebody comes in, I don't know, let's say a Oracle or a wannabe comes in, like I don't know, one of the greatest wannabes out there is the guy that runs Zuckerberg at Facebook. They come in and they say, we'll give you, I don't know, I am making it up. We'll give you $250 million. We want a third of the company. It's all subject to negotiation. We'll give you $1 billion, and we want 60% of the company. We'll control it, and we'll do it 50-50, and we'll build this out. It's called a joint venture, a JV, and they'll either joint venture. That's one way to do it. Another thing is maybe the revenues kick off. I'm not ready to dismiss the possibility that the company becomes a unicorn. That's one area. Odds of that, I think, are pretty low. I think this is such a fast-moving field that you could become the next Anthropic, but you could become the next OpenAI. I personally don't think OpenAI is going to survive on its own. I think it'll be absorbed. But we'll see. I mean, just the fact is that somebody like me could say that the risk of that, it may not happen, but I think the risk is there, is why I don't think Railtown wants to be a unicorn or wants to do a JV in a kind of let's compete with the giants way. I do think it could happen though, and if it does, we're gonna be rich, probably. But I don't know. At this point, I give that 20% odds. But it could happen. The second likelihood is it's really the same thing in two scenarios, but the second likelihood is that the company gets bought out. And for the time being, I'm ignoring acqui-hires and all that. But it gets bought out kind of soon in a friendly way. And, I'd say that's anywhere from $7.50 to $12.50, maybe $15 a share. I still think that could come. I'm not talking about closing a deal. I'm still thinking that could come in the second quarter. If you had asked me last year, I would have said it could come by the first quarter. So I give that pretty high odds, actually. I think the buyers will come in to try to get the company early in its efforts. I would give that 30% odds, that $7.50 to $12.50 range. Not bad. And then the third option, which is really similar to the first, is the second, is the company ramps very quickly. It's proven that it's desirable, and there's a bidding war. And maybe it doesn't happen in the second quarter or early in the second quarter. Maybe it takes until later in the summer. but maybe by the third quarter, um, the bidding order uh, war uh, picks up steam. And then I think you could see $15, $20, $25. And with luck, maybe 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So, something. But that big range, I'd give that 50% odds. Within that 50% odds, I think it's going to be closer to 15 to 20 to 25, but I'd still stick with maybe 1750 to 2250. I don't know. We don't know all those things, but I think you're going to zero in on the 15, 20, $25 range in a bidding war. And that'd be great. It'd be great. I'd love to get $50. That would have to be a real battle of the giants. Anyway, that's what I think's ahead. And how does it get there? I think to get to that, let's say 15, 20 range, I think the stock's going to rapidly achieve $5, $6, $7, $8. When I say rapidly, again, I don't mean in one day, but the whole color of this story is going to change. And I think it starts in March. Why? Because I think it starts in the first quarter. Why? Because they got to get their butt in gear if they're going to meet their targets. TELUS, I'm talking about, TELUS. And, they got a lot of debt. They got a lot of hurdles to meet. And I also think it's a whole Canadian thing. And Nvidia's all in on it. I don't think this war is helping Europe or Canada or the Middle East or Korea or China or Southeast Asia or the southern Don region of Russia. I don't think it's making any of these areas, Africa, feel warm and fuzzy about, having their data spied on by the United States of America. So I think the sovereign AI is going to be a big theme going forward. And Railtown's just right in front of it, right in front of it. I was talking to somebody, two people today. I think in that second scenario it gave you where the buyout happens maybe between 750 and 1250, I think TELUS would be in the running as the buyer. I think if we start talking, $20 range, TELUS might be there, but they're going to be betting a lot. They'll drop out at some point. And certainly if it goes to $50 a share, they won't be around. So I still stick to my original projection. I think it'll be Microsoft that buys the company. And remember, I don't think Microsoft's going to have any interest in AI partners. So we might end up, there's a scenario where we end up with two pieces of paper for our one. Who knows? But I think it all starts soon. So I agree with you. That's a long answer to your point. But I think it is going to be, as you put it, life-changing. I tried to use a different word, account changing, so it didn't sound like the other hype. Hey, Pat, how are you? Hope you're well today. I'm well. I'm not Will. I don't go by Will. There's a poem my dad used to say. I wish I had asked him before he died. Every time I said it, I couldn't remember it. Some people call me William. Some people call me Will. And then that's something like that next line I can't remember. And a few people around call me Billy, but here at home, I'm just known as Bill. Something like that. So I'm not Will. I'm Well. Solomon's Treasure bought 5,900. All right. You're the hero. You say grand total. I thought you owned more than that. So you just mean that's what you bought today. All right. I'm writing that down. That's awesome. That means you're most of the volume. Well, no, the volume's now 10,470 shares. Last trade, 2,500. Somebody just had to get out of 2,500 shares. They just had to sell. No, maybe not. Maybe it was a buy. Maybe that was primarily a buy. Anyway, it's still in the red. Oh, grand total, 40,000. Congratulations. That is a nice number. Good for you, Solomon's Treasure. Fast Eddie, how do, Dollar Bill, how do you do? Scott Day, good afternoon, Bill. When I make it big, I won't forget you. Well, let's just focus on, I hope you focus on yourself. I'm going to be very happy if everybody makes money. I have some ideas if we do well, what we can do together. But let's get there first. Silver Skyrocket. Hello, William. Hi to you. Hello, everyone. Silver Skyrocket says, Richard K. I'll sleep better when we hit $1 and grow steadily. Yeah, I've reacted to that before, and I'll try not to react again. But I will tell you my opinion. You may not agree with it, but anything that makes this go to $1, in my judgment, makes it go to $4, $5, $6. I'm not saying straight away. It's going to be like two dogs pulling on the same toy or in the front yard. It'll be moving back and around. But it'll, anything that gets this moving, you're not going to be worried that once it gets to $1, it's going to collapse. Now, it can be volatile, so it can come back for a while. So I just hope you don't, when you say you just want it to get it to $1, that you're thinking that way. The dollar doesn't matter, Richard. If you're in this stock, and if by now you haven't just absorbed the story, I guess then the dollar matters to you because it's a trading stock. It's a day trade. It's a speculative punt. I mean, it's obviously a speculation at this price, but you obviously don't believe the story, which is fine. Why should you? But there's so much evidence out there that we've put together. I mean, just one of them. The AIP companies are doing 500 million a year in revenue. 500 million. The network of companies, 500 million. Of that 500 million, a certain amount of money is spent on hyperscalers. We know it's over $100 million when there were 160 companies, or more than 160 companies. Now it's closer to 200 companies. The revenue has gone up by 20%. I would guess that we can presume that the annual spend by that network of companies is $150 million a year on hyperscalers. This is evidence. We may not specifically know, but in broad measure, we know. 150 million transfers to the TELUS data center. It runs through those sluices, and there's a revenue sharing agreement with Railtown. If you can pick a number. If you assume 20%, you can do 10%, you can do 30%. Pick 20% of 150 million. That's $30 million in revenue that is going to be visible shortly. Maybe not next week, maybe in 45 days, who the hell knows when. But once it's visible, it's going to be sticky. Once it moves, it stays. And it's essentially 100% profit. $30 million. For all you know, it's $36 million. It's $3 million a month in cash flow. But you don't want to, your brain just can't accept that. So you want to see the dollar a share. Okay. If it goes to 30 million in revenue and it's growing at, and that's, you're not going to believe it. I don't even know why I bother, but a multiple of 50x would give you I think $1.5 billion in valuation. So you're not even at $1. Let me just do instead of trying to do it in my head. I'm no good at that anymore. So 30 million in revenue at 50 multiple. Yeah, 1.5 billion divide by 227 million shares. It's $6.60 a share. But you want to focus on the $1. I mean, I guess if you want to do that. If you don't want to use a 50 multiple, use a 25x multiple. So then you got $3.30, but you still want to focus on $1. I don't know what it is. You don't trust your own work, your own mind. You got to see affirmation of it by the dolts out in the marketplace. Trust your own judgment. You know the story. And that's just the revenue out of the AIP group. At 25x, it's $3.30 a share. At 25x. That's just out of the that's the group that Railtown owns. TELUS has come out and said their goal from their AI-enabled technologies, FireIX, which is already in the data center, already inside of TELUS, they want to have $2 billion by 2028 in annual recurring revenues. Well, I don't know how to judge that. I don't know how much of that's going to be in this particular data center. I don't know how much is going to come from new customers, switching same customers, all of that. I don't know. But if you take, for simplicity, you cut it in half, take $1 billion, just throw $1 billion off that number, take $1 billion and put it at 20%. Shared revenue with Railtown. That's $200 million a year. $200 million a year coming through Railtown. All profit. Now, if you don't want to believe $1 billion, say $500 million. It's $100 million in revenue coming through. At 25x, that's $10 a share. From that, you add the 330, you're at $12, $13, $14. But you're bloody focused on the $1. Why? Just to create fear in yourself? I don't know. I guess I can talk about the story until the cows come home, and it's always going to come down to what the stock is trading for. I think it's mispriced, and I think what it's trading for in the market right now is wrong. But anyway, further on that story, Richard, that revenue, which I believe is going to come, but we have to admit, we have to say, should it come, is just on one data center. If Railtown proves to be the critical piece that makes that work, makes it hum, obviously it's not the only critical piece, but it's the part that makes the users want to play and stay. You can't accept it. You're not able to accept it. But the global data center market is estimated roughly at 30 billion annually. But it's going to grow, and some estimates are in the hundreds of billions, trillion, but you can't accept that. All you can focus on, I'm going to feel better if it gets to $1. All right, I get it. But if Railtown gets 1% of 30 billion, that's 300 million in revenue. At 20 and growing, of course, at 25x, that's $7.5 billion. $33 a share. But you want to focus on the dollar. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that comes from. Next year, the Democratic National Convention will be in Tehran. I don't know. Biden and Obama bombed the Middle East. He's the only president who ever was at war every single day of 2 presidencies. The only president ever done that. He bombed so much we ran out of bombs more than once. So I don't think the Democrats are pure on this. Biden is all in up the butt of Israel too. But my heart goes out to the 175 schoolgirls who we murdered in Tehran, 12 years old girls, and to their families who have the shock of coming home from work and finding out their little girl is dead before she can have her teenage years, before she can get married and have the joy of youth. My heart goes out to them. And, I don't think Iran ever started a war with its neighbors. Israel hasn't met a neighboring country that it doesn't bomb, that it doesn't go in and slaughter civilians, They're doing it right now in Lebanon, in Syria, on the West Bank. So excuse me for your comment. I'm going to move on. Is now a good time to buy Railtown? Hell yeah. Have you been listening to my targets? I think not only is now a good time to buy Railtown, I think now is the only time to buy Railtown. And I think that this time frame is going to last for the next week, this week, and possibly next week, with the caveat that I've been wrong every time I've said this for the last 8 months, 9 months. I think by St. Patrick's Day, it's going to get harder and harder to buy this stock under 40 cents, then under 50 cents, under 60 cents. But yes, I think you need to buy the shares now. And I think the upside is 20x just to catch up to where the stock should be today. And then from there, I think you have anywhere from 3x to 10x in a buyout. And if you extrapolate all that, I think by buying it here, I think you're going to experience 50, 75, 100x on your money. But might as well wait, see what happens, and see if I'm right. By then, it'll be too late. Hi, Donna. Hello, William. Hello, everyone. Donna says, hi, Donna. Donna's right again. It's super low volume. Let's check that volume. 10,470, 11,570 shares. It's picking up the volume. Somebody came in and bought, I guess, buying 450 shares at 33.71. That's awesome. Steve, hi, Uncle Bill and RT crew. Donna says, I'm not selling Railtown. I've learned my lesson twice. I don't worry about it because I think Railtown will be bought out. Exactly. Probably end of this year. I had my Roth IRA 6 years, so the money is tax-free. That's awesome. Yes, that I left that out of my projections. It could be a year from now. It could be the end of this year. I just think, Donna, they did a lot of cleaning up with their press release. There's been some filings. They just brought these two fellas on. I believe the Telus data center is going to, using my words, ramp up. All of this, and I think the orchestration frameworks level is hot, hot, hot. Ole, 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 ole. Feeling hot, hot, hot. I brought that song into America. I was in Antigua and on the island of Martinique, but on the beaches of Antigua. I bought that song. I brought it to a wedding when I was working at Merrill Lynch, and I played it. And about 2 years later, that guy came out singing that song. But it was sung by, in my memory, it was sung by I want to say the Mighty Arrow, but it could have been Sparrow. Anyway, Donna, you've done a great job building your position. I think you're going to do great. I just think the buyout, let me put it this way. I got to be careful. I do not think they will conclude a buyout in the second quarter. I'm not saying that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see offers to buy the company in the second quarter. I just think the the price is wrong on Railtown. And I think the private equity guys and girls want to come get in on the game. And the orchestration framework and sovereignty is the right place to be right now. So I just think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, which is a negative because I think it means we get $15 or maybe 22, 5. If it goes to the end of the year, I bet you could see the 35 to 55 range. That'd be great. Stanley Caldwell, hi William, sent you an email. All right, I'll look it up. Pat, Donna, nice going with the Roth. I preach this to my adult kids. Absolutely. Thanks, Pat. Donna says, we had to call Fidelity to see when I initially financed my Roth. I was surprised it had been 6 years this April. Time flies. Yeah, I'm surprised how old I am. It just happened all at once. Ricky says, holding purple line. Yes, let's look at that purple line. Let's look at it. Definitely holding that line, Ricky. Definitely holding that line right here. Right here. Yeah, it's interesting. What would be the trigger technically to make it pop up? And frankly, I don't really see one right now. But if it were to cross above this level, 36 something, that would bring it up in the 40, 46 range. But I don't see the big oomph to get it through there yet. News that means something, a fundamental change can do it. All right, let's go with, I've wasted too much time. But I'll start down this road, and if I have to quit, I have to quit. And we'll save the rest for tomorrow. But for those of you who are fascinated by crypto, I found this, and this fascinates me. What is money? A unit of exchange, a store of value, something that's widely accepted as an approximation for a unit of work, or in my opinion, units of energy, a representation of energy or output. It's fungible, it's transferable, it's transportable, it's widely accepted, but it can't really be destroyed either or counterfeited. Let's go into this. I find this fascinating, and I think it's something that we can think about for a while now. Anthropic is killing Bitcoin. Anthropic, I think, was brilliant in stepping back from Trump. And I think it's already paying off dividends in their user base and around the world. And I wouldn't be surprised if Anthropic is chosen as the large language model at TELUS. I think it's going to be Cohere because it's Canadian. But Anthropic all of a sudden has marked itself as being independent of the CIA. All right. Anthropic is killing Bitcoin. The AI native currency already exists, hiding in plain sight outperforming crypto by 6 orders of magnitude. I found this article on Medium. It's written by Jose Crespo, PhD. Wow, a guy. It's the first time I've seen a guy as a PhD in a long time. The dawn of the total machine economy. We are at the beginning of the total machine economy, and you're holding the wrong money. You're holding the wrong money. Now, I'll go to the punchline. He admits it. He's correct in everything except one thing, and maybe it'll be right here. We are at the beginning of the total machine economy, and you're holding the wrong money. You're about to see a shift. Most people in crypto and AI are missing. While you have been watching Bitcoin prices and AI hype cycles, one company has been assembling financial infrastructure that operates beyond the architectural limits. You see that limits of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else in the current crypto stack. And remember, James Altucher last year said that AI, this AI 2.0, is going to make crypto look like a ripple. And yet most people around us don't notice what's happening. This revolution isn't as loud as the ones before. It's unfolding more quietly than that. Racks of machines coming online, one data center at a time. Racks of machines coming online, one data center at a time. We're still in the early stage, but the growth is exponential, which is exactly why it is so easy to miss. It's like boiling a frog, being the frog that is boiled, who is boiled. What that looks like in practice takes about 3 seconds to understand. Just watch the animation below. I don't have a computer that can show you the animation, but we can see it in the picture. This picture, AI coin, which is already running, this whole transference happens in less than 100 milliseconds. Old crypto, which is our current crypto, it takes over 10 minutes right here. And it goes from the wallet to you copy the address, you paste in Hope, I can't quite read that, set gas free, click something, contribution, you wait 10 minutes plus, and that's how Bitcoin goes. Here it's AI. Do you mind if I don't read that? Because I can barely read it. It's AI dealing with AI. It's just very fast. So it's the same transaction, 2 systems. One takes 6 steps and a prayer. The other settles before you finish reading this sentence. The engineering that makes this possible is the real story. Anyway, that's the animation that you couldn't see. But this animation shows only the surface. Here's the part that should worry every Bitcoin holder. You have already been using this currency without realizing it. By this time, when I was reading it, I figured out what he was talking about. If you figured it out, it means you understand AI and you're getting it. This isn't a currency that's coming. This is not a currency that's coming. It is a currency already running, processing billions in value every day, secured by physical infrastructure, priced and settled in real time. And this is an opportunity. I don't know how to do it. At some point, somebody will formalize this into an explicit AI coin. But by then, the early adopter window will already be closed. Let me show you how this reframes everything. He puts in a picture, a map of the unknown world. And what he doesn't show here in this picture, a lot of the old maps had Antarctica down there before it was ever discovered. Okay, the Exodus, movement of the peoples. Let's start by following the money as GPS to show us where the future will be between cryptocurrency roads and the new AI multi-infrastructure heavy highways. I don't know what TLDR means. Money is escaping the crypto coin hype faster than it entered years ago. The promises of an economy built on crypto coins never materialize. And in the meantime, new tech has already begun turning the entire crypto landscape into technology archaeology. Don't believe me? Then let me show you two charts that tell the whole story. The crossover. Look at these two charts below together. They're telling the same story from opposite ends. At the bottom, AI is swallowing everything else. AI is swallowing everything else. In just 2 years, it moved from a quarter to half of all global venture funding. And we're in a stock that missed venture funding. Richard looks at this and he can't believe his eyes. He just wants to see it at $1. And I understand it because the stock's been punished for 90 days. It went from 44 cents down to 24 cents. I get where he's coming from. That's the emotion. I've gone through it with you. But here is your brain, if you can stick to it. It's very hard to do in investing. But AI is swallowing everything else, and venture funding, half of it globally is in AI. No venture funding has come to AI, to Railtown AI yet. But these Steely Dan fellas, Don Fagan and the other guy, they've started it. Half of every investment dollar on earth now flows into AI, except for Railtown. While fintech, crypto, biotech, and SaaS fight over the scraps. Railtown is about to go into the better half of this story. And the trajectory shows no sign of slowing down. So we'll see the chart. At the top, the physical evacuation. Bitcoin miners are watching their revenue share collapse in real time. That crossover point on the chart is not decorative. It marks the exact moment when AI compute contracts became more valuable than Bitcoin mining. And remember, some companies like OpenAI, they have compute contracts. Those contracts might become more valuable than OpenAI itself. If OpenAI doesn't get funding when it needs it, you got to look out below. AI compute contracts become more valuable than Bitcoin on the very same hardware, same racks, same cooling systems, same electricity bills, but taken over by AI girls paying more. Don't believe, all right. One chart shows where the capital is going. The other shows where it's coming from. These aren't two trends. It's one migration captured from both ends. The capital didn't disappear. It just changed industries. And I'll try to show you the chart. I have to show you it twice, I think, or maybe only once in this case. So the crossover is the orange line. That's essentially the revenue from Bitcoin going down. And the blue line is the revenue from AI contracts going up. Bitcoin mining versus AI contract revenue. AI in the bottom chart, AI is eating everything else. The share of global venture funding going to AI is now 50%. Right now, Railtown has been in that black section. It's about to go into that heavenly experience of being in demand. One migration captured from both ends. Top mining revenue collapsing from 85% to 20% as Bitcoin miners pivot to AI contracts. And that comes out of CoinShares 2026 outlook. The bottom is AI swallowing 50% of global venture funding. And that's the wind at your back, my friends. 211 billion in 2025, up from 114 billion just 2 years ago. That's from Crunchbase. Same buildings, same megawatts, different owners. The contract and the hedge. The first two charts showed you the flow. Now let me show you the receipts. These aren't projections. These are signed contracts. The names and amounts are in the chart below. What should stop you cold is who signed them. Who signed them are companies that used to mine Bitcoin, are now locking themselves into AI infrastructure deals that stretch a decade or more. These aren't hedges. This is the exodus, the movement of the peoples. The movement, the people who built crypto started buying their tickets out of it. The people who built crypto are moving out. And the bottom figure reveals something the contracts alone can't tell you, where this is heading. The funding ratio between AI and crypto isn't just wide, it is widening. Every quarter, the gap grows. Project that curve forward 2 years, and crypto venture funding doesn't shrink gradually. It becomes an investment anecdote. Now the betrayal is becoming explicit. Pantera Capital. Do you remember that name, Pantera Capital? That was all over that thing, G-Bucks. Do you remember that? Anyway, Pantera Capital, the first U.S. institutional fund built exclusively on blockchain, is pouring hundreds. All right, this is the chart, and I can't quite read it, but the purple is the one you got to see. I can't read all the lettering, but crypto miners are going to AI infrastructure. Sorry, I couldn't read that one. The volume is now 11,570. All right, let's just read what it said under the chart. The former crypto miners signing billions in AI infrastructure contracts, 65 billion in signed deals, same buildings, new owners. Did I already read that to you? The capital ratio, for every dollar going into crypto, $12 now go into AI, up from $1 just 2 years ago. Still not convinced? Fair enough. Let me show you why the money is leaving. Imagine you own a data center. You've been renting it to Bitcoin miners for years. Then some AI investor girl walks in and offers you a decade-long lease at margins that make your crypto tenants look like they've been paying in loose change. A hyperscaler's signature on the contract that prints money for 15 years. Which tenant do you keep? That's not a thought experiment. That is what is happening right now across every major mining operation on Earth. And here's what nobody is talking about. They will still mint a new kind of coin, an AI native one. Have you thought of what it is? An AI native one. Pretty soon, while profiting from the infrastructure that makes all of AI run. How? Here's what comes next. All right, hang on. That's that chart that I was trying to show you again. And there's the one on the bottom. So it was 5-1. Now it's 12-1. And I still can't quite see what it says over here about the purple one. But I do know that's the AI contracts, and it's big. All right, let's go back to, this one. I think this is the next one. The math that moves buildings. Here are the operating margins. Mining in the red versus AI hosting in the green. Mining, Bitcoin mining, post-halving is 12%. AI data center leasing is 85%. One number is bigger than the other. This single chart explains everything. Bitcoin mining post-halving, 12% margins. Thin, volatile, dependent on a price that can swing 30% in a week. AI data center leasing, 85% margins. Stable, contracted, locked in, 5, 10, and 15-year agreements with hyperscalers. Same building, same power, same cooling, 7 times the margin. When the gap is this brutal, buildings move. Companies rename themselves. Bit Mining Limited became Soul AI Limited, a confession written in corporate filings, 12% versus 85%. That's not competition. That's extinction math. The autopsy. Is decentralized tech still a clear advantage? After innumerable new coins, new projects, and billions in funding, we're still sending money like filing a Spanish tax return. Unfortunately, my Spanish readers will agree on that. Okay? Key? See? And the tech archaeology gets more brutal when you compare it to what's happening right now. In 10 minutes, your Bitcoin, in the 10 minutes, your Bitcoin transaction took to confirm, and that's the best case. Average confirmation hit 19 minutes in 2025 and keeps climbing. In the time your Bitcoin transaction took to confirm, Claude processed millions of tokens. Now you're getting it. Millions of tokens. Anthropic's billing system settled millions of microtransactions, and value flowed between machines at the speed of light. No clicking like a Skinner box animal. With AI, you need neither confirming nor waiting. What has fundamentally changed about crypto's user experience since 2020 is 2009? The wallets are prettier. The core ritual is identical. Meanwhile, in fewer than 3 years, AI went from rule-based chatbots to systems that reason, code, and run infrastructure, and they don't nag. The AI industry evolved. The crypto coin ecosystem froze in a tech Jurassic time. And the use case is even worse. Out of 40 trillion in global payments after 15 years and 200 billion in investment, crypto accounts for roughly 0.025%. You want to see it in a picture? There's the picture. Here's the global payments market share, 40 trillion. And in blue, crypto's in red. Crypto is 10 billion. Traditional payments, 40 trillion. 15 years of adoption, 200 billion in investment, and this is the result. Global payments market share, 40 trillion versus 10 billion. The market closes in 3 minutes. Railtown is 33.79. It's 12,320 shares. So what's left? The last standing argument for crypto is decentralization. No single point of control, no single point of failure. Crypto's supposed killer advantage, except AI already has this. And it works better. AI runs on multi-cloud, distributed across competing providers, each one redundant, each one replaceable. If one fails or overcharges, you migrate. The difference? Crypto's decentralization trusts anonymous nodes with no accountability. Multi-cloud decentralization trusts regulated companies who will lose billions if they lie to you, because 3 competitors are waiting to take your workload. That's not decentralization by ideology. It's decentralization by market pressure. And it already works better than P2P ever did. The coin, you're already using it without your knowledge. You now pay attention, because what I'm about to describe isn't a prediction. It already happened. You just haven't noticed it. Every API call to Claude is measured in tokens, and the other ones too. More than 300,000 organizations, I don't know the English in that, I would say more than 300,000 of organizations, but I can't argue with it, now budget in tokens. They forecast in tokens. They run their cost modeling in tokens. This is not a billing quirk. That my friends, is a unit of account. Every one of those calls is a value transfer. Compute in, intelligence out. Billions daily, millisecond latency. You don't need gas fees. You don't need a 12-word seed phrase standing between you and your moolah. You call I don't know how that sentence ended. Every one of those calls is a value transfer. Oh, I see. Compute in, intelligence out. Railtown closed at 34 cents in the green and on volume of 15,250. Last trade, 1,500 shares at 34 cents. So, Ricky, you're right. Higher lows, higher highs. Steady, steady, steady. So every one of those calls is a value transfer. That's using Claude. Compute in, intelligence out. Billions dailies, millisecond latency. You don't need gas feeds. You don't need a 12-word seed phrase standing between you and your money. You call API. The intelligence comes back, and the settlement happens before your next keystroke. That is a medium of exchange. Behind every token sits something tangible, roughly $100 billion in contracted compute capacity, data centers, semiconductors, multi-year power deals. When you hold Bitcoin, you hold a number on a ledger backed by the promise that someone else will pay more for it tomorrow. Greater fool theory, like listening to me. When you spend a Claude token or Cloud or Claude, you or Claude, you are drawing on silicon and kilowatts that produce 9 billion in annual revenue just by being online. I just noticed that Anthropic crossed the run rate of $18 billion in annual recurring revenue just by being online. I think it's just ramping like it was 9 billion a month ago. It's now annualizing at 18. Bitcoin burns energy to prove it's spent energy. These tokens burn energy to think. One is a receipt, the other is a productive access. That is a store of value. But an asset without plumbing is just a collectible in a vault. Metronome, now part of Stripe, already clears Anthropic's enterprise accounts in real time with sub-second settlement. The moment when a transaction stops being a promise and then becomes final settlement. That's what happened with my house, the lying, oh God, the nightmare. Anyway, I won't go through that now. But it's all, oh God. Anyway, that's not a billing system. That's a clearinghouse doing what Swift does for interbank transfers, except it works at scale without making you wait 19 minutes. That's the settlement rails. Railtown. That's the settlement rails. Four pillars, the same four every functioning currency in history needs. Bitcoin has had 15 years and still fails on all four pillars. Anthropic passes them, all four pillars, by accident, just by running an AI company at scale. Here's a chart that's a little bit hard to read in miniature, but there's 4 pillars of currency. The bottom in the red here is settlement rails, and it settles in less than a second. No lying like they did on my house. No post dating and back dating and oh my God. Store of value. It's contracted on silicone, kilowatts, signed deals. Medium of exchange, billions daily, millisecond latency, less than 1% failure. Unit of account, enterprises use it for budgeting, forecasting, and optimizing. It's all mapped on Anthropic infrastructure. What Anthropic built in 3 years, 9 billion in revenue. It's already 18 billion. This article is a month old and it's already 18 billion projected. 300,000 enterprises, millions of transactions, instant settlement, and 100 billion in physical backing. What crypto promised? 15 years, 200 billion invested, 2 billion fee revenue, I don't know what TPS, trillion transactions per second. I don't know what that stands for. 10 million settlement, 10-minute settlement. Sorry, it's hard to read. And the backing is spending energy. 4 pillars. What crypto promised in 15 years and $20 billion, Anthropic built in 3 years without trying. And I can't pronounce that, the isomorphism. Here's where my training as a mathematician makes this impossible to unsee. There is a structural isomorphism, not a metaphor, not an analogy, a one-to-one mathematical mapping between the architecture of cryptocurrency and what Anthropic already operates. Figure 7 lays it out element by element. Study both panels. The left shows the mapping. The right shows the performance gap. Mind the gap. Let them sink in. Now read these sentences and try to guess which system I'm describing. The token is the unit of account. The ledger records every transaction. The infrastructure commitment secures the network. The settlement layer provides the finality. The pricing mechanism regulates demand. You can't tell, can you? Every sentence is true of both architectures simultaneously, crypto and AI infrastructure. That's not a surface resemblance. It's a structural equivalence. And the moment you see it, you realize the connection. 2 rows in the mapping, smart contracts to MCP and DeFi to agent coordination are functional equivalences rather than exact correspondences. The crypto purists will attack those. They're right on the formalism and irrelevant on the substance. The remaining 7 rows are the ones that carry the money. Follow the money. Follow the money. Now I don't know. Oh, I see. Okay, so I'll go here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this. I'll try to finish this in time. Try to finish it. Try to finish it. two rows in the mapping. I just read this to you. Two rows show the same essential thing. If you're anal retentive, you'll argue about it. If you notice what this guy's saying, he's saying it's irrelevant. The remaining 7 rows are the ones that carry the money. And the performance gap, those aren't differences you close with a software update or a hard fork. These differences are architectural, baked into the physics of how each system was built. One was designed in 2009. Are you out of your mind? And hasn't fundamentally changed since. The other improves at the rate AI improves, which means the gap in figure 7 is the smallest it ever will be going forward. So here's the rows. It's going to be hard to read, but the structural correspondence is exact. The performance gap is 3 to 6 orders of magnitude. This isn't an analogy. It is a mathematical mapping. So I guess in the red is Bitcoin, in the green is cloud. So you got the Bitcoin token here, and in the middle, the Claude token. And you've got speed, cost, latency, resilience. Look at resilience, massive difference. Revenue, enterprises, and backing. It's all in favor of CLID. Let every element of crypto architecture every element of crypto architecture has a functional equivalent in Anthropic's infrastructure. Right, the performance gap across 7 dimensions, 3 to 6 orders of magnitude on every one. These aren't differences you optimize away. These differences are architectural. The company behind the AI coin, you need to understand the scale of what is already running, because this isn't a startup pitch. It's a machine that is already eating the market while you read this. Anthropic's revenue trajectory over the past 12 months is the kind of growth curve that makes SaaS veterans check the numbers twice and then P to P and then check them again. The figures are in the graphic. I'll let them speak for themselves, but pay attention to the speed. This isn't a company climbing a hill. This is a company that strapped itself to a rocket, and the rocket is still accelerating. So this is, it's not the best graph to see. But on the top is Anthropic. In the middle is OpenAI. And then you've got Google. And really, I can't quite read everything there. I'll try to read the information at the bottom. The enterprise takeover. In 2 years, Anthropic tripled its enterprise market share from 12% to 40%, while OpenAI lost nearly half, falling from 50% to 27% in coding, where the real money is. Anthropic owns 54% of the market. The company that most enterprises choose isn't the one you've heard of. It's the one their engineers picked. And the source is Menlo Ventures last year. So Google's shares going up. That's Gemini. and OpenAI's gone down, and Anthropic's going up. That's Clued. But the market share is only half the story. Look at the economics underneath it. Anthropic has fewer users than OpenAI, far fewer, and still generates a staggering fraction of OpenAI's total revenue. I don't know if that sentence is not saying what it wants to say. That's because the people who use Clued are not casual chatbot tourists. They are enterprise teams running production workloads, and they pay accordingly. A tiny slice of the user pie translates into an outsized slice of the revenue pie. And because Anthropic runs across 3 chip architectures, instead of being locked into one vendor, it squeezes more revenue out every compute dollar, an efficiency advantage which widens as both companies scale. Then there's Claude Code. Claude Code, one product launched less than a year ago, is already generating more revenue than most crypto protocols produced in their entire existence. One product. That is the quiet bombshell. At the bottom of the figure, the comparison that frames this whole article: 15 years of crypto payments next to 3 years of Anthropic. The numbers are in the graphic. I won't repeat them, and I can't read them, so we'll just move on. Let's see here, the revenue rocket. This on the here is Anthropic, and like I say, they're already annualizing at 18 billion, 5x. The enterprise takeover, Anthropic is in the orangish brown reddish color, the rust color. Just in 2 years, that's their growth. OpenAI went from half to a quarter. Others went from over a quarter to an eighth. And Google is expanding. So to me, it looks like the future is female. No, the future is Claude, and the future is Google. Unbelievable. In just 2 years, Anthropic tripled its enterprise market share from 12% to 40%, while OpenAI fell from 50% to 27%. Google tripled as well from 7 to 21%. The era of automatic OpenAI wins is over. The era of big government is over. The protocol layer, that starts sounding like us. The protocol layer Bitcoin never built, the moat. Now let me show you the main agreement in the AI coin recipe, the moat. The moat protocol that runs the whole machine. Crypto never built infrastructure. Crypto rented it from the same cloud providers who are now building exclusively for AI. The trustless revolution has been sitting on someone else's servers this entire time. Bezos could sneeze and a quarter of Ethereum goes dark. Bezos is CIA. Anthropic is building the opposite of rented. Multiple infrastructure partners, custom silicon across 3 chip architectures, and a compute build out at scale, which rivals what most nation states could deploy. Figure 10 has the numbers. Just look at the left panel and ask yourself when you last saw a 3-year-old company command that kind of physical infrastructure. But the infrastructure isn't the moat. The protocol is. And what's interesting, I wonder how important in a data center, let's say the TELUS data center uses Anthropic as the large language model, particularly now that Anthropic has separated itself from Trump. So there's no need maybe to go to Cohere. I don't know. But the protocol might include Railtown. I'm not saying it does, but it might. Model Context Protocol is how AI agents connect to everything. Databases, tools, enterprise systems, each other. It's the HTTP of the machine economy. Anthropic built it, open sourced it, and within 12 months, Microsoft baked it into Windows. Google adopted it for Gemini, and OpenAI, Anthropic's primary competitor, integrated it into ChatGPT. The Linux Foundation now governs it alongside Kubernetes and Node.js. Anthropic's rivals are building on Anthropic's plumbing. Anthropic's rivals are building this entire thing on Anthropic's plumbing. Bitcoin spent 15 years trying to become the protocol layer for money. Anthropic built the protocol layer for machine intelligence in 12 months, and I think you know what the punchline is. And its competitors adopted it voluntarily. Here's the 100 billion build out. Fluid Stack, Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, 50 billion, 11 billion. I don't know why it's less than 10. Oh, about 10 billion, and then 30 billion. And then the efficiency gap. I can't read the small numbers, but Anthropic is 31% more efficient than all of this. And I don't know how important Railtown's going to figure there. Left 100 billion in compute coming online by 26, more than most nation states. Right, Anthropic generates 31%. More revenue per compute dollar than OpenAI, with profitability projected 2 years earlier. This is why infrastructure matters. So the moat protects something. Now look at what it protects. Most companies own a layer or two. A cloud owner provides compute. A model lab owns intelligence. An app company owns the interface. Anthropic owns all five, from the silicon at the bottom to the enterprise tools at the top. And the protocol that connects them is the one its competitors just adopted. That's not a product company. That's a vertically integrated company. And the stack in figure 11 shows you exactly how the layers look. Now, remember when I told you that the data's on the bottom? That's number one there on the left where it says compute. Then I told you number two is the large language models on the data center. That's where Anthropic would come in. And then you have the protocols. Now, I'm a little confused. I think the protocols is where FireX AI goes. I don't know if that's where Railtown goes or if Railtown goes up in the agents, but it's right in there. Agents are next. That's Claude Code and others I can't read. And maybe Railtown goes above that where I drew the arrow. And then there's the applications. That's enterprise level. And that's cloud, AI, and the rest. 211 per month per year per user, $211 per user. Those are the five layers. The protocol layer in 1995, it's the HTTP. Now it's the MCP, whatever that is. And it's the AI agent going to tools. And I think that's where we are, the tools. And so the value flows HTT built a $20 trillion economy. Nobody owned it. MCP builds the machine economy, and Anthropic owns it. I'm starting to hope Anthropic buys us. Are you hoping the same thing? So here's the AI economy stack. 5 layers from compute to applications. Anthropic controls or dominates every layer. Crypto tried to build layer 5 without owning layers 1 to 4. On the right side, the protocol layer. HTTP connected humans to information and enabled a $20 trillion digital economy. MCP, which I don't know what it means, connects agents to everything. And remember, that's the idea, AI for everything, AI for everybody, and enables the machine economy. Anthropic owns the protocol. I hope it doesn't move to Japan or something. Anthropic's business model is a flywheel, but not the kind crypto built. Each revolution creates something. More computers produce better models. Better models attract enterprise customers. More customers fund more compute. And the model that emerges from the next cycle can do things the previous one literally could not. No other AI company has this. No other AI company has this. OpenAI rents its compute. Google can't convert its compute into enterprise dominance. Crypto owns nothing. It rents infrastructure, borrows credibility, and calls the loop a revolution. There's another animation which I'll show you, but it won't animate. Pay attention what happens at each cycle over the coming years. How each revolution makes the engine massively unstoppable. This isn't a growth chart. It's the mechanism behind the growth chart. Anthropic's best hidden advantage, and now you've seen it. And once you see it, so you go from compute up here to models, to customers, to revenue, to protocol, to compute. It requires the compute. Anthropic is the mode in the middle. These are the 5 layers. I'm sorry I can't make it bigger and I can't make it animate. But I'm starting to hope Anthropic buys us. I might put the word in. Each revolution strengthens the next. More compute means better models. More customers mean more revenue, and then that leads to more compute. Crypto has no flywheel. Anthropic is the flywheel. Each revolution strengthens the next super cycle. Better models, more customers means more revenue, means more compute. Crypto has no flywheel. Sorry, it says the same thing. Every component I've just described is already operational. The token economy is live. The settlement layer exists. The infrastructure dwarfs, and this aligns with what I told you in June, because I got it from that guy that promotes himself, Altucher. The infrastructure dwarfs what crypto assembled in 15 years. The isomorphism is structural, and the mapping table in section 4 proves it. But I'm a mathematician, and mathematicians don't round up. 4 gaps remain. Yeah, this one, I don't know how you get around it. Transferability. Tokens don't yet flow peer-to-peer. When you use Claude, your tokens are consumed. They don't circulate. The unit of value exists, but you can't move it between accounts the way money does. So somebody will come up with that. Programmability. The plumbing is already distributed. 3 independent cloud providers, an open protocol governed by Linux Foundation. What's missing is the last step, a layer where autonomous agents can settle transactions between themselves without routing through a single billing system. The plumbing is distribution. The cash register distributed. The plumbing is distributed. The cash register isn't yet. Yesterday or the other day, I showed you that they are creating, and maybe I didn't, but I think I showed it to you. They are creating a web, an internet for machines. The current internet is designed for the human being. They're going to create an internet, and it's happening as we sit here, where agents can talk to agents and they don't have to go see a website that has pretty pictures on it. The cash register isn't ready yet. All right, let me go to the last. There's only, I think, 3 more or something. Oh. Oop, oop, oop. And let's just take all these. There might be one here that I'm going to stop and leave for tomorrow. The Ward sent me because I'm running out of time. I got to go here shortly. Okay, there. Also missing is the programmability. The cash register isn't there yet. So the plumbing is distributed, but you have to go to one cash register. And then interoperability, no native bridge to external finance. The on-ramp and off-ramp between cloud tokens and dollars doesn't exist yet. Somebody's going to make a killing when they do this. Geometry. This is the gap nobody's talking about, and the one that will break everything else if it isn't fixed first. The mathematics running underneath every AI billing system today, including Anthropic's, is flat, Euclidean. It works for invoicing. It will not work for millions of autonomous agents transacting at machine speed. That's coming. The web is going to become AI agent to AI agent. Anthropic is the first company positioned to change this because it controls all 5 layers of the stack. But the flat geometry has to go before the coin can scale, and they're already working on it. That problem and its solution is the next story. Real gaps, but engineering problems, not architectural problems. Anthropic needs product updates. Crypto needs new physics, laws of physics. Everyone sees the pieces. Nobody has assembled the picture until now. Dun, dun, dun. All right, I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to go to your comments. It doesn't look like anyone made any comments. Railtown closed at 34 cents. Finger closed at $1.20. Help closed at 105. GDC closed at 369. Nixie closed at 54. The Dow closed up a little bit. NASDAQ up a little bit. S&P up a little bit. Each about the Dow up 0.5%, NASDAQ up 1.25%, S&P up 0.75%. And let's just quickly see if anything has happened in the War Department. Oh gosh, the poor girls. The teenagers have a much more active life than what I grew up with. Um, there's no news about the war, so I guess we don't have to worry about it anymore. It's already off the front pages. Now we're on to, the next gossip. Caitlin Collins is getting headlines. Always good when you're a journalist to get the headlines on yourself because you wish you were prettier than you are and smarter than you are. There's nothing on the war, so I guess we don't have to worry about that. Let me see what Tony Barger, the last three buys were me picking up 2,600 shares. All right, Tony. That's great, Tony. That's how to act. Where can we buy it? Railtown, you buy, or Anthropic. I'm not sure you can buy Anthropic yet. But Railtown, you can buy in Canada under the symbol RAIL, but make sure you mark your ticket for the Canadian exchange because RAIL in the United States buys a rail company. So it's RAIL in Canada. In the United States, the symbol is R like Robert, L like language, A like artificial, I like intelligence, F like format. RLAIF. You can buy it on the over the counter markets in the United States, and you can buy it on the Canadian Stock Exchange in Canada. And let me quickly see if they've filed. I think they need to file their monthly report possibly today. There seems to be a grace period of a day, but I think it's today. And no, they haven't yet. So anyway, for me, I think that story about Anthropic is fascinating. And I don't know how we can benefit because Anthropic right now is in private equity's hands. But imagine a world where Anthropic becomes the model on the TELUS data center. But even if it doesn't, if it's Cohere, I don't think it'll be OpenAI. Imagine if that layer that creates that criticality, I don't know what word to, those 5 layers. Imagine if Railtown is really important piece. And Railtown becomes, along with Anthropic, just some percentage of a $40 trillion payments mechanism. Oh my gosh, the upside. I just think we've stumbled onto something. And I'm not saying that I'm right on that projection, but I think we stumbled on something with a lot of upside potential. So with that, I got to run. So I wish each of you peace tonight, and I wish for peace in the world amongst everybody. And I hope that when you pet your dog or your cat, that you're happy.